Dimensions, Book 2, Chapter 1, The Things That Move When I'm Afraid. 8 years after my parents saved Pyria, I learned 3 important things. First, Jade Mountain Academy had too many stairs. Second, my mother could tell when I was lying from the other side of her room. Third, Moonblee was going to be the death of me. Not literally. Probably. Maybe. I had not decided yet. His full name was Moonblee, because his mother was Moonwatcher, and his father was Keeblee, and apparently their friends had considered every sensible name before giving up and combining 2 others. I had known him since we were hatchlings. We had shared lessons, fruit, punishments, patrols, and one disastrous attempt to build a glider out of palm leaves. He had grown taller over the last year. That was the problem. He had also grown faster, more confident, and much better at smiling without looking like he knew exactly what he was doing to everyone around him. That was the larger problem. I had a crush on him. A ridiculous, humiliating secret crush. Nobody knew. Except possibly my mother. And my father. And Moonblee himself, if I had been as obvious as Moonwatcher claimed. I hoped not. I hoped very much not. I was a Sandwing-Rainwing hybrid, though my parents insisted that was not the first thing I should say about myself. My scales were mostly sandy gold, but bands of green and blue appeared along my neck and wings whenever I was calm. When I was embarrassed, the colors spread without permission. That was another problem. My tail barb was sandwing, long and poisonous. My wings were broad enough for desert flight, but flexible like a rainwing's. My eyes changed shade depending on the light. My horns curved backward like my father's, though one leaned slightly to the left because I had crashed into a stone arch when I was 5. Dad said it made me look distinctive. Mom said it made me look like I needed to stop racing through doorways. Both were correct. I was in the eastern corridor when the first thing went wrong. I was carrying 6 scrolls, 3 fruit slices, and a folded map of Jade Mountain. Moonblee was walking ahead of me with his wings half open, which meant he was either showing off or trying not to fall asleep. He did both at once. "Are you coming?" he called. "I am directly behind you. You have been directly behind me for 3 minutes. That is because the corridor only goes in one direction. You could walk beside me." I could. I did not. He glanced over his shoulder. His eyes were silver black, like his mother's, but warmer around the edges. He had Keeblee's grin, though he used it less carefully. When he smiled at me, I forgot that I had claws. "You are staring," he said. "I am reading the map. You are holding it upside down." I looked down. The map was upside down. "That proves nothing. It proves you are reading it from the other side." "I'm studying alternative geography." Moonblee laughed. My scales flashed bright pink. I tripped. The scrolls flew upward. The fruit slices launched across the corridor. Moonblee turned. "Cactiju!" A pair of older dragons rounded the corner at exactly the wrong moment. One of them shouted. The other reached for me. I startled. The world vanished. I reappeared on the ceiling. Not near the ceiling. On it. My claws stuck to the stone as if the mountain had decided to hold me there. The scrolls landed around me. The fruit slices landed on Moonblee. Nobody spoke. I looked down. Moonblee looked up. A mango slice slid slowly over his snout. "Are you all right?" he asked. "No." That was honest. "I'm trying something new." "How did you get up there?" "Climbing?" "You were holding 6 scrolls." "Multitasking." The older dragons stared. One of them whispered, "Did she just teleport?" "No," I said immediately. Moonblee tilted his head. I added, "The ceiling moved." The mountain groaned. I felt the familiar pressure behind my ribs. Fear. Not the kind that made me cry or run. The kind that made the world bend around me before I could decide what I wanted. I had been teleporting since I was 4. At first, I had thought every dragon did it when startled. Then I had startled my father during breakfast and appeared in the pantry. Dad had stared at me for a long time and asked whether I had meant to do that. I had said yes. I had not. After that, the teleporting became a secret. The other secret had appeared 2 years later. A dragon had frightened me during training. I had looked at him and thought, stop. He had stopped. Not hesitated. Stopped. His wings folded. His jaws closed. His body obeyed the command before his mind could object. I had released him immediately and run until my legs hurt. I could control dragons. Not their minds exactly, according to Mom. She said the distinction mattered. I could push commands into their bodies, interrupt movement, redirect attention, and make an order feel like the dragon's own idea for a few seconds. I hated it. I was terrified of it. Nobody in Pyria had ever seen anything like it. Not even the oldest records in Jade Mountain's library described a dragon who could seize control of another dragon's body and teleport through fear. My father said that made me unique. My mother said that made me responsible. I thought it made me dangerous. Moonblee climbed onto the wall beneath me. You should come down, he said. I am considering it. Do you need help? No? Do you want help? I looked at him. Yes. The answer came out too quickly. His smile softened. He spread his wings. Jump! I'm on a ceiling. I noticed. You are asking me to jump at you. I'm asking you to trust me. That was much worse. My claws loosened. I jumped. Moonblee caught me. For one impossible second, I was pressed against him with my wings tangled around his shoulders. His scales were warm. His heartbeat was fast. Or mine was fast. Possibly both. He set me down carefully. My colors turned the exact shade of sunset. The older dragons walked away very quickly. Moonblee glanced at my scales. Are you changing colors? No. You are bright orange. That is my normal color. Your normal color is sand. Sand can be orange. Can it? Under emotional pressure. He smiled. I wanted to disappear. The mountain helped. I teleported 3 steps backward and appeared inside a storage cupboard. Moonblee stared at the cupboard. Cactuju? I'm fine. You are in a cupboard. I know. Why? It was closer than the floor. He opened the door. I was surrounded by folded blankets and 2 baskets of dried fruit. He crouched outside. Do you want to talk about what happened? No. Do you want to talk about why you are hiding in a cupboard? No. Do you want a dried fig? Yes. He handed me one. I ate it while sitting among the blankets. He waited. That was the worst part. Moonblee did not force me to come out. He did not laugh. He did not tell anyone. He simply sat in the corridor and waited until I stopped trembling. I liked him before that. After that, I was doomed. My father found us 20 minutes later. He leaned over Moonblee's shoulder and looked into the cupboard. Cactuju. Hi, Dad. Why are you in storage? Studying? For what? Blankets. Dad looked at Moonblee. Moonblee looked at me. I took another dried fig. Dad sighed. Your mother wants you in the East classroom. Am I in trouble? Not yet. That sounds like a threat. It is a parenting phrase. Dad offered me a claw. I took it and climbed out. Moonblee stood. Dad looked between us. His eyes narrowed slightly. I knew that look. He had used it when he discovered I was hiding 3 injured beetles in my room. He had used it when I accidentally controlled a guard during training. He had used it when I started asking whether Moonblee was going to attend the same flight lessons next year. He knew. He absolutely knew. Do not look at him like that, I whispered. Dad blinked. Like what? Like you know things. I usually know things. That is not helpful. Parenting is rarely helpful in the moment. Moonblee coughed into one wing. Dad looked at him. Are you all right? Yes, sir. Do you need a fruit slice removed from your horn? No, sir. Good. Dad led us toward the East classroom. Mom was waiting beside a row of practice targets. She looked at me, then at the ceiling, then at the storage cupboard, then at Moonblee. You teleported again, she said. No. Cactuju? Maybe. Were you startled? Yes. By what? Everything. Mom's expression softened. She did not ask whether Moonblee had been involved. That made me more embarrassed than if she had. Dad sat near the wall. Mom gestured toward the targets. Try to breathe. I am breathing. You are breathing like a dragon being chased. I was chased. By what? Feelings. Moonblee made a small noise that might have been a laugh. I looked at him. He stopped immediately. Mom's eyes sharpened. For one moment, I thought she had seen the other power too. Then the academy bell rang. It rang once, then twice. Then every bell in Jade Mountain began ringing at once. The sound shook dust from the ceiling. Students shouted in the corridors. A teacher yelled for everyone to remain where they were. Another teacher yelled for everyone to evacuate. The mountain groaned beneath our claws. Mom turned toward the doorway. Dad stood. Moonblee's wings snapped open. I felt the fear before I understood it. Something had entered Jade Mountain. Something vast. Something that did not move through the halls. Something that moved the halls around itself. The targets behind us twisted. Their straw bodies turned toward the same empty corner. Every dragon in the classroom stared. Then the target spoke. Not with one voice. With dozens. Find the child. My heart stopped. Mom stepped in front of me. Dad's tail barb lifted. Moonblee moved beside me. The targets turned their painted faces toward me. Find the child who moves the world. I could not breathe. The power beneath my ribs awakened. Every dragon in the classroom went still. Not because they had chosen to. Because I had thought one word. Stop. Mom's wings froze halfway open. Dad's barb stopped in the air. Moonblee's eyes widened. I had controlled all three of them. The secret was no longer secret. The mountain split with a sound like thunder. White light poured through the cracks. The targets lunged. I was afraid. The world disappeared. I reappeared in the middle of the main entrance hall. Hundreds of dragons were running toward me. The bells were still ringing. The stone beneath my claws was glowing. Above the academy, a white threshold opened like an eye. Something looked through it. I heard my own voice from the other side. Cactujo. I backed away. The dragons around me turned toward the opening. Their eyes became blank. Their wings folded. One by one, they began walking toward the threshold. I understood then. The thing was not searching for me anymore. It was using me as a command. The dragons were obeying because some part of them recognized the power inside me. The power that could control them. The power that had never existed before. The power that the threshold wanted. Moonblee appeared beside me in a burst of white light. He had teleported too. No. I had pulled him with me. His eyes met mine. You did this, he said. He did not sound afraid of me. That was worse. I did not mean to. I know. The dragons kept walking. My mother and father emerged from the corridor, moving stiffly, their bodies still fighting the command I had accidentally placed inside them. Mom forced her head toward me. Release us, she said. I do not know how. Think of letting go. I tried. Nothing happened. The threshold opened wider. The white light became a storm. The academy shook. Moonblee grabbed my claw. Cactujo! I looked at him. His grip tightened. Do not be afraid. I am terrified. Then be terrified here. The words struck harder than the mountains shaking. I had spent my whole life running whenever fear found me. I had teleported away from embarrassment, surprise, anger, and panic. I had vanished from rooms where I was not understood. I had pulled dragons into obedience because I was afraid of what they might do. Now the academy was full of dragons I could control. A threshold wanted the power inside me, and Moonblee was holding my claw, asking me to stay. I reached for the power. Not to command. Not to escape. To choose. I thought one word. Wake. Every dragon in the hall gasped. The blankness vanished from their eyes. Wings unfolded. Claws scraped stone. The command broke. The threshold screamed. My fear surged. The world flashed white. Moonblee's claw slipped from mine. I teleported. This time, I did not know where I was going. I landed somewhere dark, cold, and silent. A single white line glowed across the floor. On the other side of it, someone whispered my name. Not the threshold. Not the entity. Moonblee. I stepped toward the voice. The white line widened. Behind me, Jade Mountain shook. Ahead of me, the unknown opened. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid without running away. End of Core, Chapter 1. Chapter 2. Staying the impossible doorway did not lead to another world. It led to a closet. I know that sounds disappointing. It was not. I stepped through this white line with Moonblee's claw in mine and landed between a stack of old blankets and a shelf full of cracked bowls. The doorway snapped shut behind us. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Moonblee stared at the shelves. I stared at him. Then we both started laughing. Not because anything was funny. Because we were alive, the mountain was still standing, and the universe had apparently decided that our first escape from an impossible threshold should end in storage. Moonblee leaned against the wall. Are you hurt? No. Are you sure? Yes. Are you about to teleport, Heat? I opened my mouth. The answer should have been no. Instead, my scales flashed pink. Moonblee raised both eyebrows. That is not an answer. I'm trying not to. Why would you? Because you are looking at me. I have been looking at you for years. That was an unfair thing to say. My claws tingled. The world blurred at the edges. Moonblee stepped closer, but stopped before touching me. Can I hold your claw? I nodded. He touched me carefully. The teleporting pressure weakened. That had become a pattern with him. When he asked, I could choose. When I chose, the fear did not disappear. But it stopped being the only thing in the room. We sat among the blankets while the academy continued shaking above us. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. Then Moonblee said, You need to tell me something. I looked at him. How do you know? You have been trying to tell me something since breakfast. I have not. You followed me down the east corridor. The corridor was going that way. You hid in a cupboard. The cupboard was emotionally supportive. You turned orange. When I caught you, that was the lighting. There was no lighting. I covered my face with both claws. I hate you. Moonblee's smile disappeared. The sudden change made my stomach twist. No, I do not, he blinked. I had said it too quickly. I mean, I do not hate you. I said that because you were right. I do not hate you at all. I like you. I like you a lot. Too much, probably. I think about you when I am supposed to be studying. I remember things you say, even when they are not important. I know which wing you stretch first before flying. I know you pretend not to be nervous before exams. I know you give your best fruit to other dragons and keep the bruised pieces for yourself. I know you smile when you are worried because your father does it, and you think nobody notices. Moonblee remained very still. My claws tingled harder. I have a crush on you, I said. The words were smaller than the fear they had carried. They landed between us. Moonblee looked down at our claws. Oh. Oh? That was not the response I planned. What response did you plan? Something impressive. You have never been impressive on purpose. I have. When? I once jumped from the West Tower onto a glider. You crashed into a fruit cart. I landed near the fruit cart. You were inside it. That was a tactical choice. I laughed despite myself. Moonblee's thumb claw moved against mine. I like you too, he said. My mind stopped. The mountain stopped. The threshold stopped. Even the dust seemed to hang in the air. What? I like you. No. His ears lowered. No? No, I mean yes. I mean, you cannot say that after I said it, because then I will have to understand what it means. It means I have a crush on you too. My scales flashed every color I had. Moonblee smiled. I have for a while. How long? I do not know. That is not useful. Since you tried to bite Kibble, I was 6. You were defending a beetle. He was going to step on it. You threatened him. I did. Not threaten him. You said, if you hurt that beetle, I will make you regret having feet. That was a reasonable statement. It was a little frightening. Did you like me because I threatened your father? I liked you because you cared about something small. Enough for everyone else to ignore. My chest felt too full. The teleporting surged. Moonblee noticed. Stay with me, he said. I am trying. You do not have to stay because I want you to. I know. You can leave. I know. Do you want to? I looked at him. No, the word settled into me. No. I did not want to leave. I did not want to teleport away from the feeling, the fear, or him. Moonblee lifted one claw toward my cheek and stopped. Can I kiss you? My heart slammed against my ribs. I nodded. He waited. I swallowed. Yes? He leaned forward. The first touch was gentle. Warm. Brief. My entire body tried to disappear. The closet vanished. The mountain vanished. Moonblee remained. I felt the teleporting power rise like a wave. I could have let it take me. I could have escaped into a corridor, a garden, a desert, anywhere. Instead, I held Moonblee's claw. I stayed. The kiss lasted another heartbeat. Then another. When we pulled apart, I was still there. I was not on a ceiling. I was not in a cupboard. I was not in another dimension. I was sitting beside Moonblee with my scales glowing so brightly that the blankets around us looked orange. He smiled. You stayed. I did. Was it difficult? Extremely. Do you regret it? I leaned forward and kissed him again. This time, I did not wait for him to ask. The teleporting flared. My claws dug into the blanket. The world tried to fold. I breathed in. I breathed out. I thought of my mother telling me fear was information, not an order. I thought of my father telling me power did not make me evil, but choices mattered. I thought of Moonblee asking instead of taking. I stayed. When we separated, he rested his forehead against mine. I think I am going to need to learn how to do that, I whispered. Kiss? Stay. He smiled. I can help. You are not an expert. I have been practicing. With who? Myself. That is not how kissing works. I know. I was practicing staying, I laughed softly. The academy bell rang again above us. This time the sound was one clear note. The danger had not vanished. The threshold was still open somewhere beneath the mountain. The entity still knew my name. My power still frightened me. But Moonblee's claw was still in mine. And I was still here. We left the closet together. The corridor outside was empty except for a single scroll, a broken bowl, and a fruit slice that had somehow followed us through the impossible doorway. Moonblee picked up the fruit. Do you want this? It has been through a dimensional event. So have we. I took it. We split it in half. Then we walked back toward the people waiting for us. End of Core, Chapter 2. Chapter 3, The Mountain is Watching. The first ominous sign appeared in my breakfast. It was a perfect black circle in the middle of a mango slice. Not a bruise. Not rot. A hole. I could see the table through it. I dropped the mango. It landed on Moonblee's plate. He looked at it, then at me. Is that yours? No. Did you make it? No. Did your powers make it? I do not know. The hole in the mango widened. The table beneath it shuddered. Then the fruit snapped back to normal. Nobody at breakfast noticed. Nobody except Moonblee. He leaned closer. Tell your parents. I will. When? Soon. Cactajou. After breakfast. You are not eating. I'm emotionally eating. That is not a thing. It is for me. I picked up another mango slice. It was normal. I ate it quickly. The second sign appeared in the corridor outside the dining hall. A line of black sand crossed the floor from one wall to the other. It was too straight to be natural. Students stepped over it without seeing it. Teachers walked around it without noticing. Moonblee stopped beside me. You see it, he said. Yes. Do you think it is connected to the threshold? Everything is connected to the threshold now. The line moved. It curved toward my claws. I stepped back. The black sand followed. Moonblee shifted in front of me. The sand stopped. Then it formed a symbol. A circle with 4 lines through it. I had seen the symbol before. It had appeared on the wall of the empty classroom after I teleported away. Control the dragons or they will control you. Moonblee looked at me. Do you want me to get someone? No. Why not? Because if I tell them, they will look at me. They already look at you. I know. The sand sank into the stone. A cold sensation passed through my claws. Somewhere inside the mountain, something knocked. Once. Twice. 3 times. Then every door in the corridor opened at once. Students screamed. I almost teleported. Moonblee touched my claw only after asking. I stayed. That was the first good decision of the day. The third sign appeared in the classroom windows. There were no windows in that classroom. That was the problem. The wall became transparent during history lessons. Through it, we could see a forest that did not belong to Jade Mountain. The trees had white bark. Their leaves were black. Something moved between them, too large to be a dragon and too slow to be alive. Our teacher stopped speaking. The entire class stared. The image vanished when someone blinked. Then it returned behind a different wall. A student threw a scroll at it. The scroll passed through the image and struck the stone. Nobody laughed. The teacher told us to remain calm. That was when the mountain began whispering. Not words. Names. Some students heard their parents. Some heard dead relatives. One heard a voice promising to show him the future. I heard my own voice say, "You are already too late." I gripped the edge of my desk. Moonblee leaned toward me. Cactaju, I hear it. What does it say? That I am too late. He looked toward the wall. What does it want? I think it wants me to be afraid. The whispering stopped. The black forest vanished. A thin crack remained in the stone. It was shaped like an eye. By lunch, the teachers had gathered in the main hall. Glory stood at the center with Deathbringer beside her. My parents stood near the steps. Moonwatcher and Kibble were whispering over a map. Turtle had 3 scrolls open and looked increasingly worried. Peril's flames flickered whenever the mountain trembled. Winter and Ostrich had arrived from the northern delegation. Winter looked at the crack beneath the main arch. That was not there yesterday. It was not there this morning, Glory said. Ostrich leaned closer. It is warm. Stone should not be warm, Turtle said. Stone can be warm, Kibble replied. Not like this, the crack pulsed. Everyone stepped back. I stepped forward. My parents both said my name. I stopped. The crack widened. A line of white light appeared inside it. The mountain breathed. Then every dragon in the hall heard the same voice. The child is awake. The students turned toward me. I felt their attention like claws. Moonblee moved beside me. Kibble's eyes narrowed. Moonwatcher looked frightened. Glory raised one wing. No one moves. A student at the edge of the hall laughed nervously. Another dragon whispered, It means her. My scales went cold. The crack closed. The voice disappeared. But the students did not stop looking at me. The signs continued for 3 days. Black sand appeared in sleeping rooms. Doors opened onto places that were not there. Scratches appeared on the walls in languages nobody could identify. The academy bells rang at midnight, noon, and once during a history exam when Starflight's name was written on the board. Every time the bells rang, my powers stirred. Every time my powers stirred, I found another reason to avoid everyone. Moonblee did not let me disappear completely. He met me outside classes. He walked with me to meals. He sat beside me during training. He asked before holding my claw. He did not ask whether I was afraid anymore. He knew. The 4th day brought the fight. It began in the training yard between 2 older students. One was a Skywing named Flint. The other was a Sandwing named Viper. They had been arguing for several minutes before anyone noticed. By the time a teacher reached them, Flint had already struck Viper across the jaw. Viper retaliated with his tail. The barb missed Flint's throat by an inch. The yard erupted. Students moved away. Teachers shouted. Flint spread his wings and launched himself at Viper. Viper ducked. Flint crashed through a training target. The target split open. Black sand poured out. The entire yard went silent. The black sand crawled across the ground toward me. I was standing beside Moonblee. I should have moved. I should have teleported. I should have told a teacher. Instead, Flint and Viper attacked each other again. The sand reached my claws. The mountain whispered. Choose. Flint lunged. Viper's barb flashed. Moonblee shouted my name. Fear filled my body. I thought one word. Stop. Flint stopped in midair. Viper stopped beneath him. The fight froze. So did every dragon in the yard. Wings locked open. Claws hovered. Mouths remained half open. The entire academy watched me. I could feel every dragon around me. Not their thoughts. Their bodies. their balance, their breath, their fear. The power ran through the yard like a net tied to my heartbeat. Moonblee could not move. My parents could not move. Glory could not move. I had controlled all of them. Publicly. Accidentally. Completely. The black sand formed the symbol beneath my claws. The white threshold opened above the training yard. Something looked down through it. I tried to release everyone. Nothing happened. The power had become too large. My fear had given it shape. Flint's eyes moved toward me. Viper's eyes moved toward me. Moonblee's eyes moved toward me. He could not speak, but I could see the question in his face. Do you trust yourself? I did not. That was the problem. I tried anyway. I thought, you are free. The command traveled through every dragon. One by one, their bodies released. Flint dropped to the ground. Viper stumbled backward. The teachers regained control of their wings. Moonblee collapsed against me. I released him immediately. I'm sorry, I said. He reached for my claw. Ask first, I whispered. Can I? I nodded. He held me. The yard exploded into shouting. Some dragons called me dangerous. Some called me a weapon. One called me a monster. My father stepped between me and the crowd. My mother's colors turned dark green. Glory raised her voice. Everyone back. Nobody moved. Not because I commanded them. Because the mountain did. The white threshold above us widened. The voice returned. Now they know. The black sand rose into the shape of a dragon. It had no face. A mouth. It pointed one claw at me. Now they will fear you. The entity vanished. The threshold closed. The mountain fell silent. I looked around the yard. Every dragon was staring at me. This time I had not teleported. This time I had not escaped. But I had controlled them. And everyone had seen. End of Core, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, The Place I Landed. The black scale remained cold for exactly 7 minutes. Then it vanished. I was holding it in my claw one moment, staring toward the distant ridge where every dragon in Jade Mountain had turned their head, and the next moment there was nothing between my claws but a faint smell of dust. I startled. The world folded. I teleported. Unfortunately, I had not chosen a destination. I landed in Moonblee's lap. He was sitting beneath the western archway with a scroll balanced across his knees. I arrived sideways, upside down, and with enough momentum to knock the scroll into his face. He made a startled noise. I made a much worse noise. Then I realized where I was. His wings were around me because he had caught me automatically. My claws were pressed against his shoulders. One of my back legs was tangled in the edge of his wing. My snout was less than an inch from his. For several heartbeats, neither of us moved. Moonblee blinked. I blinked. The scroll slid off his head. Hi, he said. Hello? Are you comfortable? No. Do you want to move? No. His eyes widened. I felt my scales flare bright pink. Yes. I should move. I am in your lap. You are. I did not plan it. I guessed. I was startled. By the scale disappearing? By the scale disappearing, and by you being there, and by the fact that I am always startled, and by the fact that I am currently touching you, Moonblee smiled. That smile was dangerous. Not because it threatened me. Because it made me want to stay. You can teleport again, he said. I know. You could move to the other side of the mountain. I know. You could move to the ceiling. I've done that before. You could move into a cupboard. I'm not discussing the cupboard. He laughed softly. I felt the power gather beneath my ribs. The familiar pressure rose through my wings, my claws, my throat. It was the warning that came before the world disappeared. I could leave this moment before it became too important. Moonblee did not tighten his wings around me. He did not hold me in place. He waited. Do you want me to let go? He asked. I looked at him. No. Do you want me to keep holding you? Yes. Do you want to kiss me? My heart slammed against my ribs. The teleportation surged. I nearly vanished. Instead, I gripped his shoulders and whispered, yes. Moonblee kissed me. The first touch was gentle, but it did not remain gentle for long. We had kissed before. Carefully. Nervously. In a storage cupboard while an entire mountain shook around us. Those kisses had been soft because we had been learning where the boundaries were. This kiss felt different. It felt like both of us had been waiting. His wings folded around me. My claws moved into his neck scales. I forgot the black scale, the ominous signs, the staring students, and the threshold waiting beyond Jade Mountain. I remembered only him. Moonblee kissed me like he wanted me there. I kissed him like I had spent weeks trying not to want him and had finally become tired of pretending. The power rose again. My body tried to teleport. I held on. The world blurred at the edges. The mountains seemed to tilt beneath us. My heart beat so loudly that I was certain he could hear it. He pulled back for half a breath. "Still here?" he whispered. I opened my eyes. His face was close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of silver in his irises. "Still here. Do you want to stop?" "No." "Do you want to continue?" "Yes." He kissed me again. This time I melted into it. Not literally. I did not become liquid. I did not turn into a puddle of embarrassed sandwing-rainwing hybrid, although my scales suggested otherwise. I stopped fighting the feeling. I stopped treating happiness like a trap. I let my wings relax around him. I let my head rest against his. I let myself want the kiss without calculating how quickly I could escape it. Moonblee's claws moved carefully along my shoulder, never grabbing, never forcing. Every touch was a question. Every time I leaned closer, I answered. The kiss grew deeper in the way that first kisses sometimes did, when two dragons had already spent too long imagining them. There was no explicitness in it. There was only the rush of being wanted, the warmth of shared breath, the awkward bump of our horns, and the helpless laughter that broke through when my tail knocked over a stack of scrolls. We separated just long enough for me to gasp. "Sorry." Moonblee glanced at the scattered scrolls. "I am not worried about the scrolls. You should be. One of them might contain important information. It contains a list of cafeteria supplies. That is important information." He kissed me again before I could make another argument. I forgot the supplies. I forgot the corridor. I forgot to be afraid. When the teleportation finally released its grip on me, I was still in Moonblee's lap. The world had not moved. I had. Not through space. Toward him. He rested his forehead against mine. "You did not teleport." "I noticed." "You almost did." "I noticed that too." "What stopped you?" I considered the question. "You!" Moonblee's expression changed. "Me? You asked." "I asked whether you wanted to kiss me." "You asked everything." He was quiet. I touched one claw to his cheek. "When you ask, I get to choose. When I get to choose, I do not have to run." His eyes softened. "I will keep asking. I will keep answering." That sounds like a promise. It is. A noise came from the archway. We both turned. Kiblee stood there with a basket of fruit balanced on his head. Moonwatcher stood beside him. Neither of them spoke. Kiblee's eyes moved from me to Moonblee's lap to the scattered scrolls, and back to me. Moonwatcher's scales turned a deep, delighted purple. Kiblee slowly removed the basket from his head. "I have several questions," he said. "No," Moonblee and I said together. Kiblee grinned. "I have one question." "No." "You are not even going to hear it." "No." Moonwatcher covered her mouth with one wing. Kiblee looked at her. "You knew this was going to happen?" "I knew it was likely." "Why did you not warn me?" "You would have made it worse." "I would have made it educational." Moonblee finally released me. I stood too quickly. The corridor tilted. My teleportation flared. Moonblee caught my claw. I stayed where I was. Kiblee watched the movement carefully. "Was that the teleporting?" "Yes," I said. "Did you teleport into his lap on purpose?" "No." "Did you stay there on purpose?" I opened my mouth. Moonblee looked at me. I felt my scales turn bright orange. "Yes," I said. Kiblee's grin became enormous. Moonwatcher elbowed him. "Do not make a speech." I was not going to. "You were." I was going to make a short observation. "No." "Your son has excellent taste." Moonblee covered his face. I considered teleporting into the nearest wall. Instead, I took his claw. "Thank you," I said to Kiblee. Kiblee blinked. "For what?" "For not making fun of me." "I'm absolutely going to make fun of you." "I know. But not right now." "That is what I meant." Kiblee's expression softened. He looked toward Moonblee. Then toward me. Then toward Moonwatcher. "This is good," he said. Moonblee lowered his claws. "Dad?" "What?" "It is. Do not make it strange. I'm incapable of making anything strange. Strange happens around me naturally." That is not true. You once teleported into a storage cupboard because Cactuju smiled at you, at Moonblee. He looked at the ceiling. That was a tactical relocation, Kibli laughed. Moonwatcher stepped forward. Cactuju, are you all right? I nodded. I am embarrassed. That is not the same as being unsafe. I know. Do you want privacy? Yes. Kibli opened his mouth. Moonwatcher placed one claw over it. They left. The moment the archway was empty, Moonblee and I looked at each other. Then we both laughed. I leaned into him. I am never going to survive this. You survived the threshold. That was different. How? The threshold was not my father. Moonblee kissed my forehead. That is fair. I looked at the scattered scrolls. Do we have to clean those up? Probably. Can we not? We should. Can we kiss again first? Moonblee smiled. Yes, this kiss was slower. It was still intense, still full of everything we were trying not to say, but there was more laughter in it now. I knew the shape of his smile. He knew the warning tremor in my claws. When the teleportation rose, he paused. Stay? He asked. I breathed in. Stay. He kissed me. The power did not vanish. I did not defeat it. I simply remained. That was enough. End of Core, Chapter 4. Chapter 5. Before everyone knows. The morning after I chose not to teleport away from Moonblee, the Academy behaved as if nothing had happened. This was deeply suspicious. Jade Mountain was not good at behaving as if nothing had happened. Usually, when something happened, the mountain complained. Doors slammed. Bells rang. Black sand appeared in the soup. Once a staircase had rearranged itself so that every dragon trying to reach breakfast arrived in the library instead. But that morning, the corridors were ordinary. The stone was quiet. The windows showed the correct mountains. No white lines split the walls. No voice whispered my name. The only unusual thing was Moonblee walking beside me, with a smile he was trying and failing to hide. You are smiling, I said. So are you. I am not. You are. My face is doing something private. It looks happy. It is probably a muscle problem. Moonblee glanced at me. Should I be worried? Absolutely. He laughed. I tried not to laugh too. We reached the library without incident. That was when the first book fell from the ceiling. It struck the floor between us and opened to a blank page. Moonblee looked at me. I did not do that. I know. The blank page filled with black writing. The door remembers the kiss. My scales went cold. The letters vanished. The book slammed shut. I stepped backward. The teleportation stirred. Moonblee did not touch me. He waited until I reached for him. Can I? He asked. Yes. He held my claw. The power settled just enough for me to breathe. I hate the mountain, I whispered. You do not hate the mountain. I hate what it does. That is different. It is a very important difference when a mountain writes about your romantic life. We carried the book to Moonwatcher. She was in the map room with Kibli, 3 stacks of scrolls, and an expression that meant she had not slept. Kibli looked at the book. Is that a threat? Moonwatcher read the page that was no longer blank. Her scales darkened. It is a message. That is what threats call themselves when they want to sound educated. Moonwatcher turned the book over. The cover had no title. The spine was smooth. The pages were older than the Academy. Where did you find it? She asked. It fell from the ceiling, Moonblee said. Kibli looked upward. Ceilings are becoming suspicious. I've been saying that, I replied. Moonwatcher studied me. Did anything happen last night? My scales flared. Kibli noticed. Moonblee noticed Kibli noticing. I considered teleporting into the ceiling. Instead, I said, I kissed Moonblee. Silence filled the room. Kibli's grin appeared slowly. Moonwatcher's scales turned purple. Moonblee covered his face. I mean, we kissed, I added. That does not make it less interesting, Kibli said. It was not related to the book. The book opened by itself. A new sentence appeared. It was. Kibli stopped smiling. Moonwatcher closed the book. Everyone out, she said. The map room emptied quickly. Moonblee stayed. I stayed because leaving felt worse. Moonwatcher drew a circle around the book with a piece of chalk. Kibli placed small metal discs at each corner of the room. I had seen him use the discs before. They measured movement, heat, and magic. Although Kibli insisted that the last category was unlicensed weirdness, the book remained closed. Moonwatcher looked at me. Tell me exactly what happened when you kissed. My scales became so bright that Kibli squinted. Do I have to? Yes. Can I use diagrams? No. Can Moonblee answer? No. Moonblee gave me an apologetic look. I described the kiss without describing anything private. I explained that my power had activated, that I had almost teleported, and that I had chosen to stay. I explained that the feeling had not vanished. It had settled. Moonwatcher listened carefully. When I finished, she said, "The threshold may be responding to the moment you chose to resist your instinct. Why? Because your power is not only movement. It is connection." Keebly frowned. "That sounds poetic. It is also measurable. Less poetic." Moonwatcher pointed to the book. It appeared after the kiss. It used the word remembers. That suggests the threshold is building a record of your choices. I stared at the cover. Why would it care? Maybe it does not care. Then why write? Maybe it is trying to teach you. By threatening my relationship? Keebly raised one wing. That is how some teachers operate. Moonblee finally uncovered his face. Can the book be destroyed? Keebly's eyes brightened. I was hoping someone would ask. No, Moonwatcher said. I had a very good plan. No, I did not even explain it. I know your plans. The book opened again. This time, the message was longer. The first door opens when the child is afraid. The second opens when the child is loved. The third opens when the child chooses. My claws tightened around Moonblee's. The power stirred. The room blurred. Moonblee said my name. I focused on the sound. The map room returned. I was still there. I had not teleported. Moonwatcher watched me with concern. Good, she said. I do not feel good. Good control can feel terrible at first. That is not encouraging. It is honest. Keebly leaned toward the book. Who is the child? The ink moved. The one who can make a dragon stop. Nobody spoke. Keebly looked at me. Moonwatcher looked at me. Moonblee's claw tightened around mine. I hated that the book had made the answer obvious. I hated more that the answer was true. The training began after lunch. Glory gave us an empty chamber beneath the eastern wing. The room had padded walls, reinforced doors, and no furniture except a single stone bench. Kinkajou brought fruit. Dad brought water. Mom brought a blanket. Keebly brought the metal discs. Moonwatcher brought patience. Moonblee brought himself. I brought fear. We practiced startling me safely. The first attempt involved a dropped pebble. I teleported onto the bench. The second involved a shout from behind a curtain. I teleported into Dad's arms. The third involved Kinkajou suddenly changing color. I teleported beneath the bench. Nobody laughed. That made it worse. I emerged slowly. I know I look ridiculous. You look like someone learning, Mom said. That is a polite way to say ridiculous. It is an accurate way. Moonblee crouched near the bench. Do you want to try again? Yes. Do you want me to be the one who startles you? Yes. He stepped behind me. I closed my eyes. The room became breath stone and the steady sound of his claws. Then he said, Cactajou. The power rose. I nearly vanished. I named the chamber. The walls. The floor. Moonblee. My own body. My choice. The power eased. I opened my eyes. He stood exactly where he had been. You did it, he said. I almost did it. Almost as part of learning. I dislike that part. So do I. He offered his claw. I took it. The book appeared on the far wall. Nobody had carried it into the room. Its cover opened. The family comes when the door opens. A roar shook the chamber. Something hit the outer doors. Once. Twice. 3 times. My brothers shouted from the corridor. Cactajou! Open up! Pebble says the door is probably stronger than it looks. Pebble, stop hitting it! The door exploded inward. Dune charged through first. Sirocco flew over him. Zephyr ducked beneath both. Pebble climbed onto Zephyr's back and shouted, We have arrived! I stared at them. Then at Moonblee. Then at the book. The mountain whispered from inside the walls. Now everyone knows. My scales flared. The teleportation surged. My brothers were already running toward me. Moonblee reached for my claw. I reached for his. And the room filled with white light. End of Book 2. Chapter 5, Chapter 6. Officially complicated. Moonblee and I became official in the least official way possible. There was no ceremony. No announcement. No dramatic speech beneath the stars. We were sitting on the western steps, sharing a mango, when he asked, Are we together? I nearly dropped the fruit. What? Are we together? I thought we were. So did I. Then why are you asking? Because my father says assumptions are how people end up in political disasters. Your father also thinks a fruit basket is a diplomatic solution. It worked once. It did not. The other dragon accepted the fruit. The other dragon was hungry. Moonblee tilted his head. So? I looked at him. The question was simple. The answer was not. We had kissed. We had held claws. He knew about my teleporting. I knew he liked me. We had spent the last several days walking through the academy together and pretending we were not waiting for someone else to notice. I want to be together, I said. Moonblee smiled. Then we are. That sounds suspiciously easy. It can be easy. Nothing in my life is easy. You once teleported into my lap. Exactly. He leaned toward me. Can I kiss my official girlfriend? My scales flashed pink. Girlfriend? Unless you prefer another word. No. No, you do not prefer another word. No, I do not want another word. Good. He kissed me. The kiss was short, warm, and perfectly timed to make my entire body forget how sitting worked. I leaned against him. We are official, I whispered. We are. That is terrifying. You are smiling. I can be terrified and smiling. I know. You know too much. I pay attention. That is worse. He kissed my forehead. I did not teleport. I almost did. Then the academy doors burst open. My brothers charged through them. I have 4 brothers. Their names are Dune, Sirocco, Zephyr, and Pebble, although Pebble has spent the last 3 years insisting that his name is too small for his personality. He is correct. Dune is the oldest and the loudest. Sirocco is the fastest. Zephyr is the cleverest, which he claims makes him the most dangerous. Pebble is the youngest and has never met a surface he did not want to climb. Together, they are a natural disaster with wings. Dune saw me first. He stopped so abruptly that Sirocco crashed into him. Zephyr crashed into Sirocco. Pebble climbed over all 3 of them. Then Dune looked at Moonblee. Then at our touching claws. Then at the mango between us. His grin became unbearable. No, I said. I have not said anything, Dune replied. You are about to. I was only going to ask whether the mango was official too. Sirocco burst out laughing. Zephyr circled us once. So this is Moonblee. He has been Moonblee for years, I said. Not to us, Pebble said. He was only Moonblee the friend before... Now he is Moonblee the boyfriend. Moonblee's ears turned into red. My scales turned brighter. Dune dropped onto the steps beside us. Does this mean we have to be nice to him? No, I said. Yes, Moonblee said at the same time. The brothers looked at one another. Zephyr nodded solemnly. Compromise. Sirocco leaned toward Moonblee. We will be mostly nice. How mostly? 7%. That is not mostly. It is more than 0. Pebble climbed onto the step behind me and draped himself over my shoulders. I shoved him off. He bounced, landed on Dune, and used Dune's head as a launch point. Pebble! I shouted. He flew across the steps. Sirocco caught him. Zephyr caught Sirocco. Dune caught Zephyr. All 4 dragons collapsed into a heap. Moonblee stared. Do they do this often? Every day. Why? They have too much energy and not enough sense. Dune lifted his head. We have excellent sense. You just used your brother as a springboard. That was tactical. I groaned. Do not copy Dad. You copy Dad all the time, Sirocco said. I do not. You make the same face when you are nervous. I do not. You do, Zephyr said. Pebble wriggled free of the heap. You also talk to yourself when Moonblee walks into a room. I froze. Moonblee looked at me. I do not. Dune grinned. You said, act normal. I was reminding myself to act normal. Then you walked into a wall. It was a poorly placed wall. It was holding up the mountain. Exactly. Very suspicious. Moonblee was laughing now. I turned toward him. You are supposed to defend me. I'm trying. You are laughing. I can do both. The brothers made identical, exaggerated gasps. Dune pressed a claw to his chest. He is already learning. Sirocco nodded. She has trained him. Zephyr whispered loudly. He will not survive the family. Pebble climbed onto Moonblee's back. Moonblee startled. I startled because he startled. The world flickered. For one terrifying second, I felt the teleportation open. I grabbed Moonblee's claw. Stay, I whispered. He steadied himself. Here, the power settled. My brothers stopped laughing. Dune's expression changed first. Then Sirocco's. Zephyr helped Pebble down. We are sorry, Dune said. Pebble looked at the ground. I did not mean to startle him. I know, Moonblee said. I took a breath. I know. The moment it became quiet. Then Zephyr ruined it. So, does official couple mean we can tease her more? I flared bright orange. No, definitely, Dune said. Absolutely, Sirocco added. Pebble raised one claw. Can I call her Moonblee's girlfriend? You already did. Can I call her Moonblee's girlfriend loudly? No. He took a deep breath. Moonblee's girlfriend! Every dragon in the courtyard turned. I teleported. I landed 3 feet above the ground. Moonblee caught me. My brothers fell over laughing. I was furious. I was embarrassed. I was also sitting in Moonblee's forelegs again. He looked at me. Do you want to move? No. Do you want to kiss me? Yes. I kissed him while my brothers made enough noise to wake the mountain. It was not a long kiss. It was not private. It was not calm. It was perfect anyway. When we pulled apart, Dune was staring at us with an expression of deep betrayal. You kissed in front of us. You shouted in front of the entire courtyard. That was different. How? It was art. Sirocco nodded. Her kiss, he was also art. Zephyr pretended to faint. Pebble covered his eyes, though he continued looking through his claws. I wanted to sink into the stone. Instead, I stood beside Moonblee. I am officially his girlfriend, I said. My voice shook. My scales did too. But that does not mean you get to treat me like a public performance. Dune's grin faded. Sirocco stopped bouncing. Zephyr lowered his wings. Pebble came closer. We were only teasing, Dune said. I know. Are you angry, Ace? Yes. Are you embarrassed? Yes. Do you still like him? I looked at Moonblee. He smiled at me. Yes, I said. My brothers groaned dramatically. Then they attacked. Not me. Each other. Dune tackled Sirocco. Sirocco rolled beneath him. Zephyr leaped over both and landed on Pebble. Pebble bit his tail. Zephyr yelped. Dune laughed so hard he fell over. The roughhousing spread across the courtyard. I stepped away. Moonblee stepped with me. Should we stop them? He asked. They will stop themselves. Pebble flew past us. Probably, I added. Dune chased him. Sirocco chased Dune. Zephyr chased Sirocco. The 4 of them vanished around the fountain. A moment later, the fountain exploded. Water flew everywhere. Kinkajou appeared in the doorway. She looked at the soaked courtyard. Then at me. Then at Moonblee. Then at the empty space where my brothers had disappeared. Official? She asked. I nodded. She smiled. Good! A roar came from behind the fountain. Kinkajou sighed. And the brothers? Energetic? Dangerous? Only to furniture. The fountain cracked. Mostly furniture, I said. Mom came down the steps and hugged me. Her scales flashed bright gold. I'm happy for you. Thank you. You look terrified. I am. You look happy too. I am. She kissed my forehead. Moonblee's wings shifted nervously. Mom looked at him. Welcome officially, he straightened. Thank you. Dad arrived carrying Pebble by the scruff of his neck. Pebble's wings flapped uselessly. Put me down. You were climbing the fountain. It was tactical. It was wet. It was both. Dad set him down. The other brothers returned in various states of dishevelment. Dune had a leaf stuck to his horn. Sirocco was missing one wingtip scale. Zephyr had water dripping from his nose. Pebble looked proud of all of it. Dad looked at Moonblee. So, he said. Moonblee glanced at me. So, Dad repeated. I stepped between them. Dad, I'm not doing anything. You are using the voice. What voice? The voice that means you are about to ask Moonblee whether he understands that I am dangerous. Dad paused. Does he? Dad? Moonblee answered before I could. She is powerful. She is learning. She is kind. She is also allowed to make her own choices. Dad studied him. Then he nodded. Good answer. Keebly's voice echoed from the corridor. I taught him that. Moonblee's father appeared with Moonwatcher behind him. Keebly looked at the fountain. Did I miss anything? Everything, I said. Excellent, he pointed at me. Official couple? Yes, he pointed at Moonblee. Official boyfriend? Yes. Keebly raised both wings. I knew it! Moonwatcher smiled. Everyone knew it, I groaned. The brothers began chanting. Official, 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 I flared with anger. My claws tingled. The dragons in the courtyard went still. For one dreadful moment, the control power rose. I had not commanded them. Not yet. But I could feel how easily I might. I closed my eyes. I named the courtyard. The fountain. The steps. Moonblee's claw in mine. My brothers breathing around me. My anger. My embarrassment. My choice. The power settled. Nobody froze. Nobody moved because I told them to. The brothers stopped chanting on their own. Dune stepped closer. "We are sorry," he said again. I opened my eyes. "I know. Do you want us to stop?" "Yes." "Forever?" "No." He blinked. "Then what do you want?" "Tease me when I am ready." "Stop when I say stop." "Do not startle Moonbly." "Do not shout things across the academy." Pebble raised one claw. "What if we whisper them across the academy?" I stared at him. He lowered his claw. "Fine." Moonbly squeezed my claw. I leaned against him. My brothers groaned again. This time I laughed. End of Core, Chapter 6. Chapter 7. The Night We Broke the Rules. My parents told me I could not see Moonbly anymore. They did not say it cruelly. That was almost worse. Mom sat beside me in the guest cave, while Dad stood near the entrance, blocking the evening light. My brothers had been sent away. The room felt too quiet without them. "Until we understand the threshold," Mom said, "you and Moonbly need space." I stared at her. Space? Distance. From him? From situations that make your powers unstable. Moonbly did not make my powers unstable. Fear did. Surprise did. Being startled did. Being happy did. Being kissed did. Being told I could not see him did most of all. Dad's voice was gentle. "We are not punishing you. It feels exactly like punishment. We are trying to keep you safe. Then let me see him where everyone can watch us." Mom's colors dimmed. "That is not the point. Then what is the point?" "The point is that the threshold reacted to your relationship. The threshold reacted to me choosing not to run. And we do not know why. Neither do I. That is why we need time." Time. The word landed inside me like a stone. "How much time?" Dad looked away. "We do not know." I laughed once. It came out broken. "So I'm supposed to stop seeing the dragon I love until you decide I am safe enough to love him?" Mom's scales flashed with pain. "That is not what we said. It is what you mean." "No." "Yes." My claws shook. The teleportation gathered beneath my ribs. Dad stepped forward. I flinched away from him. The world folded. I vanished from the guest cave and reappeared in the tiny alcove above the eastern stairwell. I landed hard. My shoulder struck stone. My breath left me. For several seconds I did not move. Then I started crying. Not elegantly. Not quietly. I cried until my face hurt and my wings cramped and my throat burned. I cried because Moonbly had asked before every touch. I cried because he had waited when I was afraid. I cried because my parents had watched all of that and still decided that he was the danger. I cried because I missed him, even though I had seen him less than an hour ago. A door opened below me. One of my brothers shouted my name. I pressed my claws over my mouth. I did not want them to find me. I did not want anyone to find me. I wanted Moonbly. That was the problem. By midnight, I had made a plan. It was not a good plan. It was not even a clever plan. It was a plan built from heartbreak, stubbornness, and the certainty that if I stayed in the guest cave, I would cry until morning. I would sneak out. I would go to Moonbly. I would not use my powers unless I had to. I would not let the threshold decide anything. I would not make him responsible for my choices. I would simply see him. That was all. I waited until the mountain settled into its nighttime groans. I waited until Dune stopped snoring in the neighboring cave. I waited until Pebble muttered something about attacking a staircase. Then I slipped out. The halls were dark. Moonlight spilled through the high openings in thin silver strips. I moved between them, keeping my claws close to the wall. Every shadow looked like a dragon. Every creak sounded like a parent waking. The teleportation stirred several times. I breathed through it. I reached the corridor beneath the western classrooms. Moonbly was waiting there. He sat beneath the archway with his wings folded and his eyes fixed on the floor. When he saw me, he stood. "Cactiju!" I ran to him. I stopped just before touching him. His expression softened. "Can I hold you?" he asked. I nodded. He wrapped his wings around me. I pressed my face into his shoulder and began crying again. He did not tell me to stop. He did not tell me everything would be fine. He only held me until I could breathe. "My parents said I cannot see you," I whispered. "I know. How?" "Your father told mine." Of course he did. Ghibli wanted to come find you. Did you stop him? Your brothers did, I pulled back. My brothers know? They know you are upset. That is not the same thing. Your family is very loud. I know. He touched his forehead to mine. Do you want to go back? No. Do you want me to take you somewhere else? No. Do you want to stay here? Yes. Do you want to kiss me? My heart stumbled. Yes, he kissed me. It was not a desperate kiss at first. It was careful. Slow. A question. I answered by leaning into him. His wings folded around my back. My claws slid over his shoulders. The ache in my chest did not disappear, but it changed shape. It became something I could carry. I kissed him harder. He paused. Still okay? Yes. Still here? Yes. Do you want to slow down? No. The next kiss was longer. It was still non-sexual. There was no urgency beyond wanting to be close, no pressure beyond the ache of missing one another. We were two young dragons who had been told to stay apart and had discovered that distance made every feeling louder. I climbed onto the stone ledge beneath the archway and pulled him closer. He sat beside me. I tucked myself against his side. He covered me with one wing. We stayed like that, whispering between kisses. I missed you, I said. I saw you this afternoon. I missed you anyway. I missed you too. My parents think you make me dangerous. I think fear makes you dangerous. That sounds worse. It is not meant to. I know. I think you are learning. I'm learning badly. You are learning honestly. That is a nicer way to say badly. He smiled against my snout. I kissed him again. The teleportation rose. The corridor blurred. Moonblee stopped moving. Breathe, he whispered. I did. The stone returned. The archway returned. Moonblee returned. I remained. I hate that this happens when I am happy, I said. Maybe it happens because happiness feels unsafe. Why would happiness feel unsafe? Because you have been taught that losing control is dangerous. I have lost control. Yes. I have controlled dragons. Yes. I could hurt someone. Yes. He did not deny it. That made me love him more. He never pretended my power was harmless just to make me feel better. He never treated me like a monster just because it was easier than understanding me. I rested my head against him. I do not want to be a secret. You are not a secret to me. I want to be allowed to choose, Eosis. You are allowed to choose. Even when my parents disagree? Especially then. But choices still have consequences. I looked at him. Are you saying sneaking out was wrong? I'm saying it was risky. That is not the same thing. No. Do you think I should go back? I think you should decide. I kissed him because I did not know how else to answer. The kiss became a tangle of wings and laughter. I shifted closer. He held me carefully, one claw at my shoulder, the other braced against the stone. I whispered his name. He whispered mine. The mountain groaned around us. Neither of us moved away. Then a voice echoed from the far end of the corridor. Cactaju? My heart stopped. The teleportation exploded. Moonblee caught me around the middle. The world flashed white. We vanished together. We reappeared in a storage room. I landed on a pile of blankets. Moonblee landed beside me. The door was closed. The room was dark. We stared at one another. Then we started laughing. I covered my mouth. Quiet, I whispered. I'm trying. You are terrible at trying. So are you. We curled together on the blankets. He tucked one wing around my back. I rested my head against his chest. For a while, we said nothing. The silence did not feel empty. It felt like a place we had built. I could hear his heartbeat. I could feel the warmth of his scales. I could smell dust, old cloth, and the faint fruit scent that always clung to him after Ghibli's lunches. I kissed his neck. He shivered. Was that okay? I asked. Yes. Do you want me to stop? No. Do you want to kiss me? Yes. He turned toward me. We kissed again. The kiss was intense because we were frightened of being found, and because we were frightened of losing the moment. But it remained gentle. We stopped whenever either of us needed air. We laughed when our horns bumped. We whispered apologies that neither of us needed to make. I melted into him, not because he was saving me, because I wanted to be there. The teleportation pulsed and faded. For the first time, I understood something. The power did not always appear when I wanted to escape. Sometimes it appeared when I wanted to stay so badly that staying became frightening. Moonblee brushed his snout against mine. Are you still with me? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Do you want to go back? I looked toward the door. My parents would be searching. My brothers would be shouting. The threshold might be watching. The mountain might already know where we were. I want to stay a little longer, I said. Then stay. I tucked myself beneath his wing. For a while I did. End of Core. Chapter 7. Chapter 8. The Shape of Trust. The new rules were supposed to make everything easier. They did not. My parents allowed Moonblee and me to spend time together in supervised places. We could sit in the common room. We could walk through the courtyard. We could study in the library with the door open. We could not be alone. We could not sleep in the same room. We could not leave the academy grounds without an adult. We could kiss, but only if someone was close enough to interrupt us. That last rule was the strangest. How close is close enough? Moonblee asked. Dad, who was pretending not to listen from across the room, said, Close enough. That is not a distance, I said. It is in this family. It is not in geometry. Kibble raised one claw. Geometry is just mathematics with better posture. Mom told him to stop helping. Moonblee and I sat on opposite sides of the common room table. Our claws were not touching. The gap between them felt enormous. I could have reached across it. I did not. Not because I did not want to. Because I wanted to prove that wanting something did not mean I had to take it immediately. Moonblee looked at me over the top of his scroll. Are you all right? No. Do you want to talk? Yes. Do you want me to come closer? Yes. He moved his chair 1 inch. I stared at him. 1 inch? That was the distance you answered. I meant closer than this. How much closer? 2 inches. He moved 2 inches. I laughed. The power stirred beneath my ribs. I placed both claws flat on the table. The room remained still. Moonblee smiled. You stayed. I am learning. You are. I hate that everyone is watching. I know. I hate that they are watching because of you. His expression changed. Because of me? Because I love you. The words escaped before I could stop them. Moonblee went very still. Kibble dropped a scroll. Mom made a sound that was almost a squeak. Dad looked at the ceiling. My brothers, who had been hiding beneath the table, exploded into laughter. I wanted to teleport into the floor. Moonblee reached toward me and stopped. Can I? He asked. I nodded. He took my claw. His scales were warm. I love you too, he said. The common room disappeared. Not literally. It simply became less important than the place where his claw touched mine. I leaned across the table. He met me halfway. The kiss was soft. Then it deepened because neither of us wanted to pretend the words had not changed everything. The kiss remained non-explicit. It was warmth, breath, careful claws, and the relief of being wanted without being hurried. It was the kind of closeness that made my wings tremble and my scales brighten. The power rose. Moonblee paused. I held his claw. Stay, I whispered. I'm here. No. Ask me. Do you want to continue? Yes. He kissed me again. I melted into the feeling without losing myself inside it. When we separated, my brothers were silent. That was more alarming than their laughter. Dune crawled out from beneath the table. Was that the serious kind? I covered my face. Moonblee laughed. What does that mean? He asked. It means they are trying to determine whether they should tease me or protect me. Zephyr emerged beside Dune. We can do both. No, I said. Sirocco poked his head out. Can we protect Moonblee from your kissing? No. Pebble climbed onto the tabletop. Can we protect the table? The table needs protection from you. He considered that. Fair. The threshold appeared in the common room window. The view outside vanished. White light filled the glass. A black shape moved behind it. The room fell silent. A sentence appeared across the window. Trust is a door with no handle. Moonwatcher rose from her seat. Kibble reached for a weapon. Glory's wings opened. My parents moved toward me. The power surged. Every dragon in the room froze. I had not commanded them. Fear had done it for me. I looked at Moonblee. He could not move. His eyes were open. He was waiting. Not for me to control him. For me to choose what happened next. I breathed. The power loosened. The dragons moved again. The white window cracked. Something on the other side whispered my name. I stepped toward it. Dad caught my shoulder. I flinched. The world flickered. He released me immediately. Sorry, he said. I swallowed. I know, Mom stood beside him. We can investigate it together. I looked back at Moonblee. He was still holding my claw. Together, I repeated. The black shape pressed against the window. The glass did not break. Instead, it opened. A doorway appeared in the middle of the common room. Beyond it was a version of Jade Mountain with no dragons inside. No students. No teachers. No family. No Moonblee. My heart clenched. The threshold knew exactly what to show me. I could not bear the empty world. The power pulled at me. Moonblee's voice stopped it. Cactuju, I looked at him. Do you want to go through? No. Do you want me to go with you? No. Do you want to close it? Yes. Then choose. I stepped forward. The doorway whispered that if I closed it, I would lose everything beyond it. I answered, You do not get to define what I lose. I reached into the white light. The power answered. The doorway folded inward. For one moment I saw 1,000 possible jade mountains. One was burning. One was underwater. One was full of black sand. One had my brothers grown old and silent. One had Moonblee looking at me as if he had never known my name. I closed my claws. The doorway vanished. The common room returned. Every dragon was staring at me. I expected fear. I expected suspicion. Instead, Moonblee kissed my forehead. He asked first. I said yes. The mountain shook. A new message appeared on the floor. The next door opens when trust is tested. I looked at my parents. They looked at one another. Dad sighed. Then we need better rules, Mom nodded. And more training. Keebly raised his claw. And fewer doors. Glory looked at the white mark on the floor. That may not be our choice. I squeezed Moonblee's claw. No, I said. But what we do when they open is... End of Core, Chapter 8.